Hi guys, Jason Smith here. Down at Bury Golf Range in Suffolk, Mizuno JPX921 Forged against the 425. Off the back of the 425 videos, lots and lots of requests, mainly from email. Please comment below, not email. Email for custom fitting and coaching queries. There you go. Easier to reply to. So yeah, but guys, don't go away, because at the end of the video, I've added something extra. Not just the JPX921 Forged against the G425, but something else. You'll have to wait and see. So basically after that, everyone was going, well, how does the 425 iron compare to the JPX range? So I'm not doing the tour. No point in doing the tour, because no one is really going to be comparing a 425 and a 921 tour. So yeah. So the last one, the Forged. So I'll do the Forged first, then we'll go over to the 425. But when you get into the Forged, you are now going to expect the differences in feel, because obviously this is forged. This is chromoly forged. We'll go do the tech in a sec, that kind of bit. We'll do a little quick snippet. But let's go hit some shots with this, because I do like the forged, although my favourite is the Hot Metal Pro. We'll have a little chat why. Yeah, so that one's got the feel now. It's forged, it will do. It's chromoly forged, they split. So from 8 iron down to gap wedge, they go back down to 1025E. But this is Dirty Club. Matte. This is definitely a lot more dead to the ear, softer sounding, a lot more nicer to hit kind of feeling, but again, more of a player's iron. It's got that still little chromy bits around the top and bottom, top line and sole, which make everything look slightly thinner. It's the same kind of idea that they have in the vast majority of the JPX, and they've been doing it for a little while now, probably since 900, JPX 900 back in the day, where using the chrome does make it look a little bit thinner. Now, I'll be honest, the Forged is thin enough. Anyway, even if you don't necessarily look for that chrome strip across the back, but down by the ball you can just catch it, so it does make it look a lot thinner. The sounds softer, it's distinctly quieter, it's distinctly softer. Yeah, I mean, you can use any kind of descriptive word you like, but it is along the same lines. It's exactly that. It's a forged iron, it will feel this way. Yeah, that's nice. It is nice. I mean, I prefer the Hot Metal Pro over the Forged purely because you get the similar feel in the Hot Metal Pro. This does outdo that one for feel, but you get all the forgiveness in the Hot Metal Pro. So definitely longer irons, Hot Metal Pro over this one. So let's go quickly do the tech, do a quick 30-second flick over to see what's inside the tech before we then go have a look at the 425 against this one and how they look and feel differences.
Mizuno's first chromoly forged face, which delivers faster ball speeds from off-centre strikes. Compact design offering more player-inspired looks with thinner top line and sole. With the inclusion of stability frame that protects against the most common toe bias strikes for better performance, and a larger rebound area with a wider back milled slot, which further increases stability from off-centre strikes from a smaller club head.
So I hope you can see from that basically the differences are between the whole range. You've got the design differences basically in smaller frames. You've still got everything inside necessarily this that you've got inside the Hot Metal series as well, with the exception of the little ribs. You haven't got the ribs, or at least they're not visible in this anyway. Whether you were to strip back the whole thing and see if you could find it in there, I'm not sure, but it's a forged iron, so you necessarily don't need it. So let's hit one more shot before we go flick over to the 425. Yeah, that's nice. There is a distinct difference. I mean, I'm going to flick over now and I'm going to feel it straight away in the loudness that you're going to get from 425. So yeah, without further ado, let's go flick over now and let's go see how this looks and feels difference. 425 and Forged. There we go, guys. That was that quick. So basically, quickly shafts-wise, before someone goes on, if there's any differences in shafts, etc., but there is a difference in shaft. So this has got the Ping AWT 2.0 Nippon shaft in stiff, and that one, the Forged, has got the KBS dollar taper 120 stiff. So there are differences, but anyone who knows me has watched my channel. I've put content out in the past basically explaining the difference between shaft sensitive people and not. The vast majority of people are shaft sensitive. Yes, they are. I'm lucky. I am not one of them. I can have an extra stiff shaft or a lady shaft in there. Absolutely makes no difference to dynamics, ball dynamics, or anything else. I'm fortunate just because how I load the shaft in a unique way, or not unique way. But yeah, anyway. So, 425. Much bigger now. We've gone from the Forged and we've gone now to a 425. It's bigger. It's, I would say, chunky. It is chunky. It's designed to be chunky. To be fair, this shouldn't really be put up against the 921 Forged, but people wanted it, so I've done it. And you can see a distinct larger amount of offset when you look down by the ball. It looks distinctly more offset. The top line looks distinctly chunkier. The sole looks distinctly thicker. Everything is bigger about the 425. But let's go give it a hit, because I'm going to expect him now, after hitting that Forged, there to be a bit of a noise difference. Oh yeah. Did you catch that one? Yeah, there's a distinct difference now in noise. Going between the Forged now, where it is chromoly forged, so it's not 1025E in the Mizuno, but it is forged. It's not, doesn't go down to the 1025E until you get into the 8 to 9 and pitch and wedge and that lot. But even so, yes, this is distinctly louder. It's bigger down by the balls, so it's more confidence inspiring. If you're struggling for strike, I know which one I'd rather be looking at. It'll be this one here, because it's confidence-wise, it's just much bigger. Oh, but please say you can hear that on the old microphone on camera. Because it is loud. When I say loud, it's as loud as it's always been. I mean, I've hit a few shots with this now in different tests and stuff, and it's always been the same audible level. The difference is when you compare that against something as soft as potentially a 921, it's not fair. It's not really, you'd have to go to an i210, which is again cast, but it's a much more softer feeling ping. It's a bit unfair for putting the 425. Although, saying that, when you look at the loft differences, that's 31, this is 30, I think, yeah, 30 degrees. So there's a degree of loft in it. So between the whole range, I mean, the Hot Metal and Hot Metal Pro is 29, this is 30, and then the Forge is 31, and this is 30. So between the whole lot, there's only effectively 1 degree difference either way. So you can compare them. But that is quite loud. I mean, it looks higher flighted than the Forged, obviously using range balls and stuff. Right, so let's go quickly look at a 30-second clip about what's inside this 425 head before we go basically into the custom fitting studio and see what the performance differences are between the 425 iron, the G425 iron, and then the JPX921 Forged 7 iron.
So with now a much more extreme perimeter weighting from a tungsten screw and a hosel weight to expand the sweet spot of the iron, a speed generating variable thickness Hyper 17-4 stainless steel face in a metal wood design to try and help off center hits. Added stopping power from a patented cascading sole and top rail undercut combines to form essentially a hinge to increase flexing in the face. A now new streamlined look, it's now smaller in blade length than the G410, yet retains 3% higher MOI, and now has a 3-piece multi-material badge in the cavity that helps dampen undesirable frequencies.
There you go. I'm sure you're bored of seeing the same piece of technology now, but it's true, they've still got the same stuff in it, and unfortunately that multi-material badge isn't really doing much necessarily to detract away from the noise. I've got an old real ball here which deserves to be thrown away rather than hit, but it was quite an interesting one. So, but this might sound a bit louder. But yeah, you can hear it. Distinctly louder. Very much so distinctly louder. Right, so let's go hit this a bunch of times in the custom fitting studio with my game ball. A premium ball, not range balls. And let's go see how they compare like for like when you take a little bit of performance, distance and forgiveness into account. So guys and girls, now in the custom fitting studio after getting a load of shots. Now doing the fairway, obviously I've got 4 clubs to do in this family of JPX today. Always do your testing on the same day, because if not, human beings, they perform differently, different days. So rather than just doing, say, the Hot Metal Pro G425 and the Forged, or whatever order you want to do them in, if you do them like that, you're going to get tired at one point. That's natural. So what I've decided to do, I've got 4 clubs to do. So I've done 5-1, 5-1, 5-1, 5-1, 5-1, 5-5-5, 5-5-5, yeah, until you get just a bunch of information. And obviously you had to go back to the PC all the time and then change data sets and all that, which is awkward, but you get the fairest result. Because if you're going to get tired, because you're human and I'm old, you get to a point of where at least it's fair on everyone. So let's go look at the ball data first for the G425. 7-iron, 30 degrees remember. So on average, ball speed 122.9, launch in 19.1. Spin at 6,000, which if you remember, if you guys have seen my original video of the G425, it's spinning in the 5,000s or something. That is just the difference between 2 different days. So again, that's the important thing is about testing. If you're going to test on the same day. But it's going up 37 yards in the air and descending at 49 degrees. 2 exceptionally very, very good numbers when it comes to average flights, because anything over 45 degrees is stopping. And that's going 174 yards on average carry. So that's not short at all. One I do want to pop on there for a few different shots. One of them about 3/5 of the way down, 3,000 spin. You've got an average of 6, that is 3,000 spin. Why? If you go by the strike screen, you can see on there of where I hit it. I hit it 7 mil high. It does launch well, 19.7. However, the spinning at 3,000, that's going to go like a missile. That's going at 31 yards in the air. So it's coming in at 43 degrees. If it's a hard green, 43 degrees, it's going to bounce through. It's going to carry of 180. So if you look at 174 is the average, made up of miss hits as well, your peaks would be around about 177, 178, give or take. So that is going all of the peak yardage and a bit more, but it's coming in with a little less stopping power. So that's the only thing I would be a little bit concerned about. On the last one I hit, you can see there, average of 37 yards in the air. I popped that one up, the last one, because I just wanted to see how high I could hit it and still retain some version of strike. 43 yards in the air. Wow. That is impressive. 129 feet, I think it is, something like that. That is impressive. To have workability, remember guys, people say about the blades and like the cavity backs or the game improvement irons, you get more workability in the blades. No, you don't. Workability left and right, you can make a game improvement iron or a blade curve exactly the same amount. There's no differences in curvature left and right to left. If anything, the game improvement irons have got more workability in the potential of getting the ball up in the air because of the centre of gravity changes, etc. Any decent golfer within reason has controlled their ball flight low. That's not as hard as it is trying to get the ball really high in the air, as a general rule. So let's go have a look at the club head data for the 425. On average, 91.6. Again, we've said this in the past. For some reason, I can swing a Ping iron and a Ping driver, etc. About, well, with an iron's a mile an hour or so less than any other manufacturer. Now, whether it's because of the heavy heads, I don't know. It's exactly the same in the woods as well. But because of the heavy heads, it never fails to give when it comes to efficiency, because it might be slightly slow in head speed, but with that heavy head, it gets rid of that ball rather fast. Efficiency 1.34, down by 2.4 degrees, 0.0 when it comes to my delivery, I'm very 0-0 give or take, and 26.4 degrees of dynamic loft. Remember, it's a 30-degree head, so I'm de-lofting very, very slightly, which I normally do anyway. Face impact on average is 6 mil toe, 1 mil low. Right, let's go have a quick, very, very quick look at the misses that I did. Purposeful ones to see necessarily how good or bad this thing is. So, what I have decided over the passage of time of using this, the more I test it, this 425 loves shots off the toe. It loves it. It can eat up toe shots all day long. It does not like low heels. Doesn't like heel shots at all. 3mm low, 12mm heel was enough to drop distance down to 168, but carve it off nearly 10 yards right. So it does not like low heels at all. That's the flight you get from a low heel. However, conversely, if you go over to the other side of the face, the 4mm low, 19mm toe, 19mm. I don't know how long this golf club is, but I'm basically hitting it off that dot. It is that bad. Yet, with a, again, path of 0.0, very 0.0 when it comes to delivery, it's gone a bit shorter. Yes, it has, 166, but look at the offline, 0.4. It has kept it straight and true. You are going to suffer from distance. You're hitting it not 19mm away from the middle. It is so far off of middle, I would accept it to go a lot shorter than that. It was terrible. And if it wasn't for the fact that it's obviously a game improvement club and that it's helpful off of these hits all around the face, if my blade, that would have stung. But very, very good. Right, let's go over to the 921 Forged and compare those figures. So, on average, 122.7 miles an hour. 18.2 launch, so launching a fraction lower now than the G425. Why? It's got more loft, but it's got less help, remember. The Forged is a smaller profile head, so centre of gravity is nowhere near as low and as far back as it is in the 425. Backspin is 6.4, so now near back up to 6,500. What the hot metal is actually, which means it's peaking up at 35 and then descending on average at 49 degrees nearly. Last shot that I hit, as always, I'll see if I'll give it a little bit of a upseas, and it went up to 41. So I've got plenty of movement in that if I really want to, and that's descending at over 50 degrees, or over 51 degrees. Carries 172. There's 2 degrees of loft, so if you would say 12 yards necessarily between all clubs, give or take, for depending on how fast you are, you could say each individual degree maybe 3 yards or so. This is 2 degrees weaker, but it's carrying 172, which is keeping the carry up there considering. Let's go by the club head data before I show you some of the misses that this thing can be, how forgiving this thing can do with the misses that I've done. Club head speed 92.1, so I'm 0.9 of a mile an hour short, but very close to the 91.6 that you get for things. So this will be an interesting one to test. Efficiency 1.33, so slightly down. 3.2 down, 1.3 from the inside, 0 face, 26.5 degrees. That is an interesting number. We'll come to that in a sec. 3mm toe, 3mm low. So within reason, very, very close to middle. Not far off whatsoever. So let's go. I hit a few toey low ones to show you just how good this thing is. So remember, guys, the 921 Forged, it's got a power frame. It's not as big as the Hot Metals and Hot Metal Pros, but it's still there. It's still a Forged golf club, which does like toe strikes. I hit this one, 3mm low, 16 mil toe. On a 0.7, 1.3 close face, it finished 1.9 yards left, 1.9 yards, and carried 170 from a 172 average. Yeah, right, there's the flight. When it comes to the next one, 4mm low, 14mm toe, so not quite as bad, but not much difference. Basically within a millimetre gross, exactly the same. 0.6 path from the inside, 0.3 open faces, 0.0 with a 14mm toe, 4mm low strike, and it's finished 1.9 yards right. Wow. And 171 when it comes to carry, so it's 1 yard short of the average. Right at the start of the video, I said that I was going to add something extra. And it's not just going to be the comparison between the 425 and the Forged. I'm going to do the lot. So you can see on one screen how all of them perform relative to each other. So let's just go by ball data first. 123 basically for the 425, 124.8, 125.7, 122.7. So within reason, very, very similar. Bear in mind, you've got 30 degrees of loft for the 425, and there's just 1 degree of loft either side of that in all of the other JPX ranges. So they're always going to be very, very similar. They're all launching within a degree of one another. Nothing in it. Backspin, The 425 is spinning the least out of all of them, which is a surprise. Bear in mind the HM and the HM Pro are less lofted. So they've got 29 degrees of loft, and yet they're spinning more. Interesting idea. And then obviously the Forged will spin more because, generally speaking, obviously it's got more loft, so it will do. But yeah, carry distances, if you look at the 174 there for the 425, they're all within a 3 yard. You've got 1 yard in the HM, you've got 3 yards in the Hot Metal Pro, and you've got 2 yards in it when it comes to the Forged. So there's literally no difference to that whatsoever. Club head data, wow, 134, 134, 135, 133, tiny 0.01 differences. I mean, that could be literally 0.005 rounding. Yep, 91.6, 93.2, 93 and 92.1. So again, generally speaking, you see there that the JPXs are normally swinging 93, give or take. That's what I'm doing, and I always struggle with the Ping to try and get the speed up to normal. I can get the speed up to 93, but I have to put more effort in, and if you're putting more effort in, that's not the whole idea. Dynamic loft, 26.4, 26, 25.9, 26.5, so within a degree. They are all very similar. The only thing I would say is the top right-hand side, that little image there, the distance between the red dot and the blue dot, the furthest away strikes, it is nowhere near as big on that screen. It looks massive on that screen, the fact that you've got that huge, gap. Foresight, please fix that. The actual distance between the red dots and the blue dots was like tiny. Well, 6 mil, 7 mil, so yeah, anyway. On today, I would do for performance, it would be the 425, because it goes slightly higher for one, and it goes 2 yards longer. It's nothing. If I was going for feel though, the Mizuno all day long. The Mizuno feels so much nicer than the 425. The 425, even with that multi-material badge, it still feels a little bit clippy. Where you're talking about the Forged now, we are talking a completely different audible noise. Visuals, again, it's up to you. They're two different design of golf clubs necessarily. They're not straight away like-for-like comparisons. You probably G425 and Hot Metal Pro for like. The Forged is a smaller profiled club. So for aesthetics, it would win all day long if that's what you want. But if you want something a bit more confidence inspiring, a bit more real estate by the ball, by all means, the 425 will win hands down. Feel, Mizuno. But looks, subjective. And then performance, even though it's equal, if you were being picky, you'd have to say the 425. But it's tiny. Do the test again and watch it flip. So anyway, I hope you liked the video. If you did, click the little like button below. Next to it, little red button. That's a subscribe button. If you could press that one, that'd be brilliant. Next to it, little bell icon. If you can click that one, that'll let you know next time I upload another video. So I hope you're well, and we'll see you again soon.